devil is a personification of evil as it is conceived in various cultures and religious traditions. For one thing, I would not want to meet him. Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm your host Emily, and today we're going to count down our list of the top 10 real people who saw the devil. Coming in at number 10 is Mr. Olguin. Ethan Olguin posted online a story that he was told. The story goes, "My grandpa believes he saw the devil. When my dad was a kid, my grandpa used to work at a graveyard. He would get up as it was dark, and within a few hours of working, the sun would come up. One morning, he did what he always had done and got ready for work. As he was walking there, he saw a man in a suit just walking slowly down the street. My grandpa told him something along the lines of, 'May the Lord give you a good morning,' and the guy ignored him and kept walking. My grandpa just ignored it and went to the graveyard as he always had and proceeded to work. After a few hours of work, the sun hadn't started rising yet, and he realized how early he actually woke up, so he went back home. He told my grandma about the guy, and she believes it was something called El Catrin. Apparently, sometimes the devil appears as a very well-dressed person that they refer to as El Catrin. Creepy. Number 9. Johann Georg Faust. This 16th century German astrologer and alchemist was an intelligent and successful man, but this wasn't enough for him. He wanted supreme power and knowledge, so he called upon the devil to provide him with it in return for his soul. For 16 years, he enjoyed his newfound power before he attempted to back out of the agreement. However, the devil convinced him to renew the pact, knowing that upon his death, Johann's soul would reside for eternity in hell. After 24 long years, the devil announced to Johann that his death was approaching. A huge explosion was heard from Johann's room that night, which was believed to be the act of Satan reclaiming his soul. The only thing remaining from the eruption was bits and pieces of Johann's body. Number 8. Sarah Good. Sarah Good was one of the first 3 women to be accused of witchcraft in the Salem witch trials, which occurred in 1692 in Massachusetts. On March 25th, 1692, Sarah was tried for witchcraft. When she was brought in, the accusers immediately began to rock back and forth and moan, seemingly in response to Sarah's presence. Later in the trial, one of the accusers fell into a fit. Sarah denied the allegations against her, but another woman on trial admitted to being the devil's servant. She stated that a tall man dressed in all black came to them, demanding they sign their names in a great book. Although initially refusing, she eventually wrote her name after Sarah and another woman forced her to. When Sarah was allowed the chance to defend herself in front of the 12 jurors in the Salem Village Meeting House, she argued her innocence, proclaiming the other 2 as real witches. In the end, however, Sarah was convicted of witchcraft and sentenced to death. So, did she really see the devil, or was she innocent? Who knows? Number 7. North Berwick Witches. The North Berwick witch trials were in 1590, where a number of people from East Lothian, Scotland were accused of witchcraft. The trials ran for 2 years and implicated over 70 people. The witches allegedly held their covens on the Aled Green, part of the modern-day North Berwick Harbour area. One source for the events is a 1591 pamphlet news from Scotland. King James VI wrote a dissertation on witchcraft and necromancy titled Demonology in 1597. More than 100 suspected witches were arrested, and several confessed under torture to having met with the devil in the church at night and devoted themselves to doing evil, including poisoning the king and other members of his household and attempting to sink the king's ship. Number 6. Andy Berthern. One day, Andy decided to make a deal with the devil, like someone does. He said, "My family loved God more than me, and I had a teenage reaction and decided to go my own way. I thought I'd make an actual pact with the devil, and the pact went along the lines of, you give me this, and I'll give you my life." He took me at my word, and it was a very conscious decision that I will always regret. Eventually, Andy restored his faith in Christianity, but while Andy acknowledges Jesus' power is not even comparable to Satan's, he says, the devil was not going to let him go easily. He was attacked spiritually, but not just verbally, but physically as well. He said, "There were images and voices. I spent night after night praying against apparitions and stuff all around me all the time. It's a reality. Some people still won't believe it happens, but it does. I clearly remember an elder suggesting I go and pray and read my Bible. I picked up my Bible and it was like someone stabbed me in the eye, and it burned so much until I put the Bible down, then it would stop." Number 5. Father Gabriele Amorth. In 1997, Father Gabriele Amorth conducted his exorcisms in Rome, and he asked for the help of Jesus, and the young man he was dealing with began to curse and spit and started using English instead of his native Italian. Screaming and howling, the demon burst forth and looked straight at him, drooling saliva from the young man's mouth. Father Gabriele said he returned fire with prayers and other ritual recitations, demanding that the demon reveal its name. He said, "Unclean spirit, whoever you are and all your companions who possess this servant of God, I command you, tell me your name, the day, and the hour of your damnation." The man fixed him with a glare, snarled, and said, "I am Lucifer." Father Gabriele was shocked. He did not expect to receive such a terrifying response. He mostly used prayer as his weapon, reciting verses of liberation from the Roman rite of exorcism. As Father Gabriele continually commanded the demon to leave its host, it eventually left. But my goodness, that sounds absolutely horrifying. Number 4. The circus. In this story, this man's father told his son about the day he met the devil. It took place in Juarez, Mexico in the year 1942 when his father was 20 years old. The circus had arrived in town, and the man's father and his younger brother went to check it out, and they ran into a short, stubby man wearing a dinner jacket. This stranger introduced himself and said he auditioned for a job at the circus, but the owner turned him down because his act was so frightening that the owner accused him of being the devil. They asked if they could see the trick, and he said yes, but they would have to come to the trailer where he lives. They went to the stranger's place, and he put on a cape and a white glove on his right hand. He started running his left hand over, under, and around his gloved right hand, all while closing and opening his right hand and wiggling his fingers. The stranger then started chanting some strange words in another language. Then he grabbed the tip of the white glove and removed his glove. His hand was gone. It was all bones from his skeleton. The brothers ran out scared, and the stranger stood at the top of the steps, just smiling. Then on the ground was a wooden plank with long nails pointing up. The stranger jumped off the steps and landed right on those nails. They went right through his shoes and blood started to flow. The man's father stood there transfixed as the stranger started to laugh again while pointing at the man's father with his bony finger. They ran away again, and the man's father knew that it was the devil, and they were grateful to be able to escape. Number 3. Alex Bledsoe. Alex Bledsoe saw the devil in 1973 when they were 10 years old. Apparently, the devil was arrested and in a jail cell, so Alex went with a man named Tater to see it. Tater had a beat-up truck, and he had claimed to have shaken the devil's hand. When Andy got there, he saw the cell windows, and only one cell had its lights on. He said, "I could only see the plaster ceiling, then a shadow moved across it. The shadow stopped, it was in the shape of a human head, except 2 small horns rose from it. Then suddenly the head was standing at the window, looking out into the night, looking, I was certain, right at me. I could only see it from the nose up, and because the light was behind it, I could make out no facial details. But the horn seemed to be jet black, and the hairless head was in fact a deep, dark red." The next day, people in the trailer park talked about nothing else. The county sheriff came to get him about 1 in the morning, but there wasn't nobody in the cell. Everybody figured it was some kind of joke played by the pastor. I never asked about that night, and as I grew older, I accepted that the suggestion hovering in the hot summer air had worked on my child's brain and conjured what I thought I'd seen. Except for one thing. About a week afterwards, Tater started driving around in a new truck. I mean brand new, a 1975 Chevy Blazer with 4-wheel drive and a camper shell. Lots of people asked where he'd gotten the money for it, since otherwise his lifestyle didn't change. For me, the source of the new truck was plain as day, and the proof, it was painted red. Devil red. Number 2. Jennifer Perez. This is the testimony of a 15-year-old girl who was brought up in a Christian home. She strayed from that path, got into drugs, died, and was sent to hell. Fortunately, she was given a second chance, but this is her story. She was in the hospital and her spirit woke up, but her body didn't. As a spirit, 2 men dressed in red approached her and told her to come with them. She then went to heaven and saw the Lord and 2 angels, Gabriele and Michael. She and Gabriele went through a black door, and it was dark and they were falling. The farther they fell, the hotter it was, and it smelled like sulfur. She was in hell, and she was seeing people being tortured by various demons. The cries and torture scared her. She then saw a massive red creature in the middle of it all that was just watching everything. She assumed that was the devil and it terrified her. She then ascended back to heaven and was asked for a second chance. She then woke up in the hospital, alive, and devoted her life to God. And coming in at number 1 is Sister Josefa Menedez. This young Spanish sister, who had a short religious life of great suffering, experienced revelations throughout much of her life. More than once, she was taken to hell to witness and feel the suffering firsthand. Sister Josefa was reluctant to write on the subject of hell, and did so only to conform to her Lord's wishes. She wrote about her experiences in her journal. Sister Josefa described it as the greatest torment of hell, namely was the soul's inability to love. She wrote, "One of these damned souls cried out, 'This is my torture, that I want to love and cannot. There's nothing left in me but hatred and despair. If one of us could so much as make a single act of love, but we cannot, we live on hatred." As mentioned, she went to hell multiple times, but one time she saw the devil. She wrote, "Souls were crying out and the devil answered. Insinuate yourselves by inducing carelessness in them, but keep in the background so that you are not found out. Tempt these others with ambition, to self-interest, to acquiring wealth without working, whether it be lawful or not." That entry was from February 3rd, 1923. She visited hell many times after that, but didn't report on seeing the devil again. Well, that's all for our list of the top 10 real people who saw the devil. Do you think you've ever seen the devil? Comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe. I'm your host Emily, and I'll see you next time.